I feel like if I'm a client of yours, I'm being seen. I'm the opposite of a number. I'm an opposite of part of a report that you go over internally and look at, is this client going to churn? What can we do? Oh my gosh, the contract's coming to an end. We better like start to really understand what it is, how to make them, like, so how do you do that? How do you create a culture that transcends beyond you and your passion, right? Because you talk about very eloquently, and you've already a number of times brought up the importance of the team, right? The talent inside of your company, because it can't be just you. It has to start from the top, right? I mean, there's got to be a vision, there's got to be a culture, there's got to be a mindset. And you clearly articulated that. How now does the team, how do you get a team that adopts that and actually delivers on it?
Yeah. So one framing that I would perhaps slightly change in the way that we think, you had said helping clients be seen. I would say that we take it a step further and we help our clients feel safe. So we are very aware of all waking up every morning to hopeless news and macroeconomic factors that are out of our control. And so we believe that we want our people to feel safe in working with us, that they can bring their full selves to Interactive. We want our clients to feel that we're protecting them. We're protecting them from news that they can't handle, or that they, not that they can't handle it, but that they weren't aware of. If we know that there's a big impact, for example, to a conference that maybe is happening in an area that might have some unrest, we may proactively say, hey, we've gone ahead and proactively looked at our budgets for you and made some recommendations of where should your attendance go down. Here's where we can save in the budget. So to the people, how do we do that? Not just from an Olivia's perspective, but from a full agency perspective. A couple of the things that we did last year, and this is throughout the industry, we have projects that come in. Sometimes they come in faster than you are necessarily ready for them. And as an agency, we took a real commitment about, I guess, a year ago to build out what we call the Interactive Academy. The Academy is a place where we have built modules of learning where our associates can come on board and immediately start to understand nuances of how a client thinks, words to use in meetings, where how they like to have call reports delivered post conversation, if they always want to pre-read the nuances, because every company that we work with has different cultures. And so the academy is a place where any of our associates can go, and they've just joined and they'll be semi-dedicated or dedicated to this account. And their leader works with them to make sure that they're assigned the right academy curriculum to get them off to the races before. And then we start more training. We also do a ton of exposure, and I'll still lead a lot of client meetings to help teams see it's okay to apologize. This happened on Monday. I was leading a client call and I said, you know what? We didn't get that data right. Let me pause here and we'll put it into the notes. We're going to come back to you in 24 hours. Taking accountability is a huge word for us, right? That it is okay to take accountability. And my peers, both on the senior leadership team that all report up into our CEO, all the way through our wider management team, we are really empowered to say, I didn't get that right. Let me go fix that. Go back to the word safety. I feel so much safer if I know that I'm working with a team that operates with integrity, operates knowing that if they do say to a client, hey, I missed up here, this didn't work, there will not be repercussions. There is an absolute confidence in our people to say, go back, fix it, put it in the call notes. We used Microsoft Copilot for everything to capture notes through AI, makes our teams work much faster. But to your point, not one person can do this. You have to make sure that your entire company is living and breathing and understands the ethos. Our core values are very much driven on integrity bound accountability And kindness. I think that we tend to be very kind to one another and we have a good laugh too. And I've never worked with a greater group of people in terms of just feeling like I can bring my whole self to a role.
You know, again, wow, so much great. There was a term that was thrown out in a podcast I recorded about a year ago, and the woman talked about creating psychological safety amongst her team, that they could just show up, they could try as hard as they wanted, but they could fail, and it was okay, and it was acceptable, it was expected, it was trying new and different things, and they could voice opinions and not feel like they're gonna be reprimanded for not saying something smart enough, right? That there was just safety to show up and for everybody to try to do what you just described. Is that a good way takeaway from what you're saying, or
I absolutely agree with that. I would say going back to how does a company get built and going back to our co-founders who they really have always allowed space for there not to be repercussions for doing your very best and showing up with your best self. And we have a lot of mistakes that happen. We work in a very dynamic environment. What we do is live, it is constantly changing. There are the pressures of the inevitable things that we can't control so much of what we do. I will say, though, that we are a company that one of our co founders says, did they show you the homework? And it took me a minute when I first joined here because I didn't know what to do with that information. But what that means for us now, it's very contextualized. How great is it if you're working in a company and someone goes away and to this other podcast person that was interviewing in psychological safety and this psychological safety to say, I'm going to go experiment. I may not do this spreadsheet correctly. I may not do this pitch deck correctly, but my leader is giving me the space to go figure it out and play and come back and show the homework. The homework is important because it shows how they think. It gives you a place, a starting off point for coaching and for feedback. We are incredibly proud of being able to say, I wouldn't have thought about it that way. I really like that. I would tweak it and think about it in this way. And we actively ask for that. My management team, we just went through, as many management teams did, months back on our annual goals. And I'm sure people have been through the goal planning process before and they go into a goal planning tool, they sit there, but your peers never get to see it. My peers do very different things. So my management team is made up of the creative studio, the digital services team, the strategy team, the client services team. They have very different functions inside the agency. We spent a ton of time as a team listening to one another, listening to one another was going to accomplish this year, understanding where the dependencies were. Well, I can't do mine without you. And then also saying, redundant, you only need two goals because I'm already working on that one. Why don't you come over and this will be a shared goal over here. So we try and spend a lot of time really aligning as a team, but giving space. I'll open almost every call with, hey guys, let's make sure that this is a space where it's safe. Let's make sure that we are talking and giving active feedback to one another. And I will tend to try and go first and say, okay, hit me with the active feedback. And I might even on the side ask one of my leaders, hey, just don't hold back on me, right? So I want the team to actively see that you're really challenging me in a couple areas. I think it's really important that people see that it's okay, that I can learn and grow. Again, that growth mindset piece is absolutely one of the kind of the pillars in how we try and show up as team members.